Do you remember the 21st night of new Star Wars? Earth, Wind, and Fire, please don't sue me for singing one line. I'm Gayfesh, and today we'll be talking the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Andor. But before we get started, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I won't be doing a full plot breakdown given we got a triple this week, but there will still probably be some spoilers ahead. I have a mixed feeling on shows doing big episode dumps. I definitely don't like Netflix's binge model because it takes away from a show's staying power. You don't have water cooler conversations or theory crafting. If someone didn't finish the show over the weekend, you're having to compare notes on what you can and can't talk about. The Boys, for example, started with 3 episodes in its 3rd season, but they were all 3 individual episodes, and it just ended up making this season feel shorter than if they'd spaced them out weekly. I feel like if you're gonna release several episodes at once, it should feel like you released a cohesive whole. And Andor does that in spades. The first 3 episodes tell a very specific story and do a lot of work building up the specific worlds that Cassian inhabits and the troubles that he faces. Unlike Kenobi, which was a cavalcade of characters whose names and motivations would immediately escape me, Andor gives us characters with clear motivations and conflicts. Even if we might not be seeing much more of some of these characters later in the season, I'm okay with that because this felt like one big movie to me. The storyline that stands out the most to me is the villain's arc. Cyril Khan is a deputy inspector for a private military contractor that handles imperial business for a mining company. I love this detail and wish we'd seen more PMCs in media like the Clone Wars, considering a lot of fascist regimes rise to power using these kinds of unaccountable private firms. It's a wonderful bit of world building. Cyril feels out of place here, while his boss is a corrupt political actor who will cover things up to make the Empire think they've got everything handled. Cyril is green and feels a need to prove himself through a show of force and a sense of duty. I really hope we get to see him through the whole show because they actually managed to make him sympathetic, and his actions feel justified even as you root against him. Cassian himself has a dual storyline, the main one being him killing 2 security guards who tried to shake him down and having to get enough money to go on the run before he's caught, and the second one showing him as a child on Kenari. This second storyline is seamless, but I think it's even more compelling than his current predicament. He was a member of a primitive tribe. All of their scenes are spoken without subtitles in another language, so we're left to catch inferences from their actions and body language. There's not a lot of talking to be had at any rate, but it tells the story of them examining an Imperial ship crash, and Cassian, who is apparently originally named Casso, gets taken by scavengers who reason that once the Imperials come to the crash site and see that one of their officers was killed by the locals, they'll all be wiped out. I have issues with how this is portrayed because they drug him against his will, but he wakes up on the ship and is just okay with being abducted. The show definitely lives in the moral grays, and I'm sure his backstory is not finished yet, but as it stands, his adoptive parents don't seem to be upstanding paragons themselves. And that's okay, so long as we address it. One thing I learned about the show a while back is that they didn't use the ILM stagecraft system for this show. Stagecraft is a cool setup and it can be done well, but it can also make shots look empty and cheap. It is, at the end of the day, a fancier rear projection filming technique. And while it can provide actors with that bit of extra feedback to inform their performances and give more dynamic lighting to a shot, when done wrong, it looks like what it is: a handful of quarantined actors standing in an open void. Star Trek shows seem particularly egregious in this regard, but Kenobi didn't get away unscathed either. Andor avoids this entirely. While there are obviously green screened establishing landscape shots, the show is very much filmed on real sets or on location. There may come a day when a virtual set can look just as real as a location shoot, but I don't think we're there yet, and as a result, Andor feels far more real and way less cheap than any of Kenobi did. We don't get to meet Stellan Skarsgård's character Luthen until episode 3, but I get the feeling he is the Obi-Wan of the show. Considering he's a new character, while we'll eventually be getting other established rebel leaders like Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera, and hopefully Bail Organa, Luthen isn't hanging around Yavin by the time of A New Hope, so my money's on a big tragic death for him. If not this season, then the next one. We know he's capable in a firefight and is quite handy with explosives, but other than that, he's really just there to recruit Cassian to the rebellion. I cannot wait to see where this show goes next, but all indications are this is going to be the best live-action Star Wars show yet. Let me know your thoughts on the premiere below.
If they don't return to Ferrix after this, I will be sad, as I really liked B2EMO's droid design, and it would be a shame to not use it more.
Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share the video with your friends. Subscribe to my Patreon to get shouted out in future videos. Check out my Bandcamp for banging tunes, including all the tracks you heard in this video. Follow me on Twitter at GayestFesh, and don't forget to check out my podcast, The Rest of Both Worlds, where I go through Star Trek The Next Generation with a friend who's never seen it. Thank you to all my patrons, with a special shout out to Piftle Cakes and Renee Vorbeck. Your support is greatly appreciated. See you all in the next video.